And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with the show that is not only providing good news, but also good kung fu in between the breaks, only known as Music Village. And apparently, speaking of good news, the maestro reminded me that for the first part of the show, we accidentally talked about a couple of the video game news stories we were going to mention later on in the show. But don't you worry, maestro, we were able to find other video game news stories to cover for it. So yeah, there's plenty more where that came from. But besides me giving people a little bit more in store in video game news, and speaking of news in general, I'm looking at my watch right now. Oh, it's just about that time. It's the witching hour, which means it's time for us to be brought up to speed on news stories from this week from, you guessed it, all around the world. And in our first news story, and in sad news in the world of legendary drummers, for you fans of the man who was behind the song not only YYZ, but also doing the drums for Tom Sawyer and other legendary Rush songs, I have some sad news for you because it's been announced that the drummer of Rush, Neil Peart, unfortunately died this week at the age of 67 years old due to brain cancer. And like we said before, this guy was a part of the list of one of the greatest drummers of all time, especially with the fact of how cool this man was doing his performance of YYZ and also being a part of the album known as 2112, which a lot of people considered one of Rush's greatest albums. But besides being a drummer for Rush folks, he would also be an author as well, and would be able to produce a book entitled Clockwork Angels themed after the album of Rush, and would also be able to do a sequel to that said book entitled Clockwork Lives in 2015, amongst other books that he would be able to do that were all non-fiction based on the travels of his very life. And we here at Music Village would like to say, on behalf of this legendary drummer, Neil Peart, may your work live on forever, and may you forever rest in peace. And in other news, and hopefully news to bring up the mood for tonight, folks, for you fans out there of the classic Michael Jackson song of Leave Me Alone, it looks like Frog Leap Studios is at it again and would do an interesting metal cover of the classic song, involving the guitarist actually dressed up in a skeleton suit, not only doing the dances from that said song, but also playing guitar and drums while doing the said song, which was absolutely awesome to see firsthand of how cool this guy is. Now, I'm hoping he does a metal cover of the song Cars, and I don't know which one's gonna beat him to the chase first, of OHP or this other metal guy I know who used to do covers, but I got a feeling one of the three is gonna eventually do a cover of the song Cars, and I will happily bring that news to you in the near future. But until then, folks, if you guys want to check out this cover of this legendary Michael Jackson song for yourselves, you can head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as Frog Leap Studios to check it out for yourselves. And in other news, and finally, and I do mean finally news, as a follow-up from a story we reported to you on Music Village, or should I say the Tuesday night special from this past week, it looks like the album release date for Ozzy Osbourne's album Ordinary Man is now set in stone. And it's been announced that the release date of this album will take place on February 21st of 2020, and the song featured for this album, named after the album, Ordinary Man, would be the song that Elton John would be a part of in a very rock ballad mode that he would have for this said song. And just to let a couple of you fans out there know, not only the album art looks absolutely phenomenal, but the fact that he was able to do this song with Elton John sort of reminds me of the rock ballad song he did with Lemmy Kilminster a couple of years back, entitled I Ain't No Nice Guy After All, which was probably one of my favorite rock ballad songs that he would be able to do alongside with Lemmy Kilminster, and the same can be said with this song here with Elton John. And if you guys want to check out this legendary performance with Elton John alongside with Ozzy Osbourne from the title song from the title track album, or even check out a couple of cool performances from Neil Peart, a part of his performances with Rush, you can head on over to the website only known as consequencesofsound.net to check it out for yourselves. And just to let you know, one of the performances from Neil Peart includes a drum solo he was able to do on David Letterman in June of 2011. Nice! And I guess with all those regular news stories out of the way for this week, folks, you guys out there know what time it is. It's time for us to go into another edition of Video Game News.
3, 2, 1.
And in our first video game news story, for you Burger Time fans out there, I have some good news for you. Cause it's been announced that Burger Time Party is once again back on the Nintendo eShop and will allow you to play not only the solo burger mode, the main burger mode, or even the 4-player PvP burger battle mode. And also the challenge burger mode to include on the demo version of this game. And I, for one, always thought this game reminded me of fighting futons for some strange reason, but yeah, still a fun game nonetheless. And the best part about all this is, folks, is if you love this game and want to purchase it by January 16th, you can get it for at least 30% off until January 16th. And I, for one, may try to get my hands on this game because, like I said before, still reminds me of fighting futons with a little hint of Felix the Cat in there as well. I would have said Cuphead because of the animations, but definitely Felix the Cat, because I got a feeling if he owned his own burger shop, the same shenanigans would take place in this game too. And in other video game news, and to continue on with the Nintendo news from the Pokemon Direct that took place this week, for you fans out there who are still upset that Pokemon Sword and Shield didn't have all of the classic Pokemon in it, well, I have some good news for you. Because they've announced that they're coming out with not one, but 2 separate expansion packs for the game of Pokemon Sword and Shield, and the first expansion being called the Isle of Armor that is expected to launch in June, while the second expansion, named the Crown Tundra, is scheduled for a fall release. And both of the expansion packs will cost you just about $29.99 on the Nintendo eShop. And in my opinion, to get a chance to use some of the Pokemon I remembered in the earlier generations of the Pokemon game, it's pretty cool. And at the same time, it's gonna give me one big giant oversized headache seeing the fact that they're gonna really add in the complete Pokédex for this game. And yeah, for those who are wondering out there, the last time I remembered it was well over 200, and with these Pokemon, won't it make it well over 400, somewhere near 500 Pokemon you gotta capture? Yeah, so for those who wants that gotta catch 'em all feeling and want to even check out some new islands, definitely make sure you head on over and try to get those expansion pass at your own risk. because if you're anything like my sister, you will be driven crazy by the end of it all. And if you guys want to check out cool pictures of the new islands that will be available as of later on this year, or even check out a couple of the Pokemon that will be included on those said islands, because we're not going to read the entire list on the air, folks, you can go ahead and check it out on the Game Informer page, only known as GameInformer.com, to check it out for yourselves. And Maestro, I don't care if you give me that look, the entire list of all the Pokemon that are on that island is immense. So, you know, unless we're like Yakko while he's trying to name all the 50 states and capitals, no, not happening anytime soon. And in free video game news, for you fans out there of the video game head snatchers, I have some good news for you, because it's been announced as of this week, and for the next 24 hours, you can get this game for absolutely free on the Humble Bundle page of humblebundle.com. And for those who never played this game before and want to know what this game's about, well, it's basically you taking the head off your opponent and using it for literally and figuratively head-to-head combat in an arena of your choosing, whether it be football, bowling, soccer, and I do believe basketball as well. Surprised I didn't see baseball, but I got a feeling it's somewhere in there if you search hard enough. And if you guys once again want to head on over to get this game for absolutely free when it comes at the actual retail price of $14.99, you can head on over to the Humble Bundle page, only known as humblebundle.com, to get this game for yourselves. And trust me, folks, if it's for free, go get it. You can't go wrong with a free game. And with all those news stories, folks, for this week, you have all officially, for the first week of the new year, have been brought up to speed. And I guess with that said, we might as well head back into the music, and when we return, we'll be back with the final segment for Music Village for this week, right after this. So don't go anywhere just yet, folks, and stay tuned.